kind of expressed, a similar, kind of behavior. And so funny that you brought that up, but let's unpack that a little bit because thinking through, and I know we're winding down, so it'll be interesting for me to hear, I have very similar characteristics and, obviously we have shared values. But how do you, from a mindset perspective, knowing, that passion and commitment, to deliver, right, for clients, for the team, for the people that, you love and care about, your beautiful family, et cetera. How do you prepare, right? Can you talk through like a little bit about preparation? Because if you have such a passion for, not wanting to lose or fail, then that it's going to take a lot of preparation, right? I find that those people who are more prepared, and working directly for you and with you, I know that you are, I don't want to say maniacal, but you never walked into a meeting unprepared, ever.
Listen, you just brought up Kobe, you brought up Michael Jordan. These are athletes that trained and prepared 365 days a year. They didn't play 365 days a year, but they trained and they prepared. They were, to your point, they were maniacal about their preparation, and it's not much different. I mean, I listen, you're working out constantly, right? You've got a great regimen. You physically have to be ready for it. Mentally, you have to be ready for it. It is like being an athlete. I mean, you have to live a life that allows you to succeed professionally. It all goes together. So that preparation begins with your personal life, how you take care of yourself, how you put yourself physically and mentally in a position. There's a lot of stress that goes with dealing with these challenging situations, and you've got to be able, right? You got to be able to be able to weather that as a human being. And you do that through a variety, I think, of preparations. But, if you're going to work a 19, 20-hour day, you got to have your head on right, and physically you got to be in shape to do it. So there was always that component of it. The other thing, a lot of it is perspective, Donnie. You brought up the family component and others. You do have to constantly bring perspective to what you're doing and what you're working on. And while it's incredibly important, sometimes to be able to compartmentalize, so not to look at the big picture all the time, which could sometimes be very, very overwhelming, but to break it down as you're thinking about it and acting upon it into much more digestible chunks. So perspective has a lot to do with the ability to be able to really manage some of these challenging situations. But there's a lot of mental prep. You brought it up earlier. I sat on the sidelines for about a year after I left Prescani. And as I began to kind of get back involved in board positions and now with Abundant, I had found that some of that memory was gone. Right? It's just, maybe it's human nature. So to get back to more of that regimented routine that's associated with how I like to work or operate was a key component of me sort of re-entering into the marketplace and taking on additional responsibilities. And so it's easier when you're younger. I can tell you now at 56 years old, it's not easy. And so, as you're kind of evolving through your career, it is important to keep perspective and a healthy balance. If you can't keep a healthy balance, the things that motivated you at work, those challenges, those are the same things now that can get you jaded or that make you not like your job. And so you have to really find that balance. And the last thing I'll say is you need to, as a leader, the best leadership advice I had received was from another CEO saying, as you evolve into a CEO, you have to shed your old responsibilities. And by you have to get people that you can trust that can really carry the torch, if you will, on those responsibilities, and then allow you to do your new job. And so, that evaluation of talent and putting together a management team that shares your values, has that same type of work ethic, and bring you the type of talents necessary for you to then do your new job, that's incredibly important. And so it is, you've got to put yourself in the right position to succeed. And it has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. this will be the final thing, just as we're coming up on time. But just quite a few gems, man. I really appreciate your candor and all that about your journey. You shared with me, kind of with your new responsibilities and things that you're doing. A statement that I'd like for you to, at least as you're kind of leaving, share with folks, because I think it was powerful. Can you talk about, choosing, having the opportunity to choose the people that you work with? And just, you talked about shared values and all of that, but the importance of, really the people, right? It's been a theme of everything that you shared with us today, and just how critical is that? And just encourage folks, as they're evaluating opportunities and stuff like that, how important are people, as you're evaluating opportunities?
Well, there's nothing more important. And I think when you're younger, you're not in a leadership position. You don't always have the chance to make those determinations of who you're going to work with. Mm-hmm. By happenstance, some of those may end up being great relationships, and by happenstance, some of them don't. But I would say some of the best learnings I've had from executives that I've worked for, mm-hmm. how they have or haven't dealt with personnel. Together, the team that not just has the complementary skill sets or capabilities, but has the type of they're the type of person that you want to work with, that are honest, hardworking, good, all of those basic things. Mm-hmm. And it's a head scratcher to me sometimes that when people display behaviors that maybe are, counter to what you and I are talking about here, mm-hmm. how sometimes people turn a blind eye and allow that to continue because they're a good performer, a good salesperson, or mm-hmm. whatever it is. And to me, none of that ever works out. Mm-hmm. I think if you have a personnel issue, you've got to act on it. You have to act on it quick. You have to surround yourself and hire people that are reflective of the values that you want your company just simply to be known for. Yeah. It's incredibly important. And we live in a day and age where, it's I hate to use the word cancel culture, but
it's a term.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. But people unfortunately, are also in a lot of instances looking for those shortcomings, which is a bizarre statement. But regardless of social media, et cetera, I always felt, it's the right thing to do. You want to build a company that's reflective of your own personal values. And of course, you want those values then to emanate through every interaction you have with your employees, with vendors, with your mm-hmm. customers. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it's about reputation. And I think for me, if you went around to people and you said, what do you think about Joe Greskoviak? I think they'd say, well, he's a good guy. And, mm-hmm. and I would rather have somebody say, well, he's a good guy, than just about anything else about me, because I think there's a lot to be said for that. And it's just the right thing to do, Donnie. I know I don't want to seem like I'm, on my high horse here preaching, but it's
no.
the right thing to do. But it begins with the leader, and the leader cannot compromise those values in any, in my opinion, in any way, shape, or form. And what I have seen in my 35-year career is if you do the right thing, it always works out. I don't know why, but it always works out. Doing the wrong thing, I've seen people do the wrong thing and it not necessarily fail.
Yeah.
But doing the right thing always seems to find a way to work out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a powerful way to end our conversation today, my friend. So, doing the right thing, everything will always work out. Joe, thank you so much for being a guest, this week. It's been great. This has been the Only Dream Big podcast. We'll see you next week.
All right, man. Take care, Donnie.
If you like today's podcast, tune in to our social media to get updates on our next episode. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, at Only Dream Big Inc., and hit the subscribe button below.
That's all for today, folks. See you next time.